Salams and welcome to part number 67 in this magnificent book, Muhammad Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sallam, his life based on the earlier sources. And we're looking at the family divisions, how the family of Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sallam is being disrupted, how his two daughters, Ruqayya and Kulthum, were divorced by the sons of Abu Lahab and Jamil, and how his other daughter Zainab was about to be kicked out, but then a non-Muslim husband loved her too much, and he did not divorce her. And now we just ended off with Salama, a 19-year-old, magnificent, beautiful young girl, young teenager, late teen, who became a devoted, magnificent follower of Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sallam. So on the death of Abu Salama's father, his mother Barra had married a man of the Quraysh clan of Amir, by whom she had a second son known as Abu Sabra. Suhail, the chief of Amir, had recently given Abu Sabra his daughter Kulthum in marriage. Barra, unlike her sister Arwa, had not yet entered Islam, but Abu Sabra was subject to his influence not only through his half-brother, Abu Salama, but also through his stepmother, his father's second wife, Maymuna. It was to Maymuna and her three sisters, the wives of Abbas, Hamza, and Jafar, that the Prophet ﷺ referred when he said, "Verily, the sisters are true believers," subhanAllah. And Maymuna's marriage brought to the clan of Amir a powerful presence of faith. Suhail had another daughter, Sahla, whom he had given to Abu Hudayfa, the son of the Shamsite leader Utbah. Amir had of late been rapidly increasing in power, and this marriage was thought to be an advantageous one by both the clans concerned. Not long afterwards, however, the couple entered into Islam. They were followed or preceded by the other couple, Abu Sabra and Kulthum. Suhail thus lost two daughters to the new religion and the two carefully chosen son-in-laws. So now as people are reverting to Islam, it's causing division in families. The original families are firm that they don't want to become Muslims, and this is the challenges that some of the reverts even today face. Some of their family members become hostile, some of them are tolerant, but each person knows the difficulties and challenges that they go through. But worst of all, from Suhail's point of view, his eldest son Abdullah also became a devoted follower of the Prophet ﷺ. Abdullah had hopes that his father might one day join him, and these hopes were shared by the Prophet ﷺ himself. For Suhail was a man of more piety and intelligence than most of the other leaders, and had even been known to take spiritual retreats. So he was one of the fellows who can be an asset to Islam. But as yet, or to asset to the Muslims, but as yet he showed himself hostile to the new faith, not violently, but nonetheless he was aloof from it. In Abdul Shams, Abu Hudayfa was not the only son of a leader to defy parental authority. Khalid, who had dreamed of the Prophet saving him from the fire, had kept his Islam secret, and his father heard of it and ordered him to renounce it. Khalid replied this to his father, and he told him, "I will die sooner than forsake the religion of Muhammad." Whereupon his father beat him mercilessly, beat him, and imprisoned him in a room without food or drink and started torturing him. But after 3 days he managed to escape, and his father disowned him without taking further action. Utbah was characteristically less violent and more patient with Abu Hudayfa, who for his part was attached to his father and hoped that he would come to see the errors of his idolatry. As to the Umayyad branch of Abu Shams, in addition to the Islam of Uthman and his marriage to Ruqayya, there were other serious losses. Many of the confederates of the Bani Asad ibn Khuzaymah had likewise professed their faith to the new religion. In total, there were about 14 in number, including the Jash family, who as cousins of the Prophet ﷺ were no doubt their leaders. With these valued confederates, now the Muslims are getting stronger by the day. Abu Sufyan, the Umayyad chief, lost also his own daughter, Habiba, whom he married to Ubayd Allah ibn Jas, the younger brother of Abdullah. In the clan of Adi, in one of these chiefs' families, the power of the tie of truth and to break lesser ties had been prefigured in the last generation. Nufail had two sons, Khattab and Amr, by two different wives, and on the death of Nufail, the mother of Khattab married her stepson Amr and bore him a son whom they named Zayd. Khattab and Zayd were thus half-brothers on their mother's side. Zayd was one of the few men who, like Waraka, saw the idolatrous practice of Quraysh for what they were, and not only did he refuse to take part in these idolatrous practices himself, but he even refused to eat anything that was offered to the sacrificial idols as well. He proclaimed that he worshipped the God of Abraham, and he did not hesitate to rebuke his own people in public. Khattab, on the other hand, was a staunch adherent of the inveterate practices of the Quraysh, and he was scandalized by Zayd's disrespect for the gods and goddesses that they worshipped. So he persecuted his brother to the point of forcing him to leave the hollow of Mecca and to live in the hills above it. And he even organized a band of young men whom he instructed not to allow Zayd to approach the sanctuary. The outcast Zayd thereupon left the Hijaz and went as far as Mosul in the north of Iraq, and from there southwest into Syria, always questioning monks and rabbis about the religion of Abraham, and until finally he met a monk who told him that the time was now near and that there would come forth in the very country he had left a prophet who would preach the religion that he was seeking. Zayd then returned. He returned back. He went from Syria back to Mosul, Iraq, and then he's coming back to Mecca. He retraced his steps, but on his way through the territory of Lakam on the southern border of Syria, he was attacked and killed. When Waraka heard of his death, he wrote a eulogy in praise of him. The Prophet ﷺ also praised him and said that on the day of resurrection, he will be raised as having in himself alone the worth of a whole people. Many years had now passed since Zayd's death. Khattab was also dead, and his son Umar was on good terms with Zayd's son Said, who had married Umar's sister Fatima. The rift between the two branches of the family had closed, but with the coming of Islam, Saad was one of the first to join it, whereas Umar, eventually we'll say Umar radiallahu an, whose mother was the sister of Abu Jahl, became one of its fiercest opponents. Fatima followed her husband, but they did not dare to tell her brother, knowing his violent nature. So Fatima and her husband became Muslim, but they were scared of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu an. I mean, who wouldn't be scared of Umar, right? So Umar was beset by Islam on another side also. His wife Zainab was the sister of Uthman, the son of Mazun of the clan of Juma. And this Uthman was by nature an ascetic and had tendencies towards monotheism before the descent of the revelation. He and his two brothers were among the first to respond to it, and they and Zainab had also 3 nephews who had entered Islam. Of Zainab herself, Umar's wife, nothing is recorded at this stage, no doubt because wherever her sympathies lay, she had powerful reasons for keeping them secret. Her brother Uthman was even more uncompromising than Umar. Zainab and her brothers were younger cousins of the chief of the clan Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was one of the most implacable enemies of Islam, as were his immediate family. It was his brother Ubay who one day took a decayed bone to the Prophet ﷺ and said, took one bone that was decayed, and he said, "Are you telling me, claim you Muhammad, that God can bring this bone to life?" And he's crumbling it like this. Then with a disdainful smile, he crumbled the bone in his hand and blew the fragrance into the face of Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'lay'hi Was'sal'lam and the Prophet ﷺ said, "Even so, that I do claim that this very bone will be brought back to life. He will raise it, and he will raise you as well, as you are now. Then will he enter you into the fire." It is to obey that the following revelation refers, and because of this incident, the following revelation of the Quran was revealed, because this man crumbling the bone and blew it into the Prophet ﷺ's face, and the words of the Quran say, "He forgot his own createdness and said, 'Who will give life to bones when they are so rotten?' Say, He who gave them life the first time will give them life again." Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.